They say the old house was never truly empty, even when no one lived there. I used to scoff at that until I inherited it after Aunt Mabel died, leaving me the keys with a note: "Do not let the clock strike 13. I thought it was her last joke, and I laughed when I found the grandfather clock in the hallway, its face smeared with dust, its hands frozen at 12. The air smelled like mildew and something sour. Every creak under my feet echoed like a whisper. I was alone, but the house felt like it was breathing. The first night, I woke to the sound of ticking. It wasn't loud, but it was steady, and it was coming from the hallway. I got up, rubbing my eyes, and stepped into the cold corridor. The clock's hands were moving again, sweeping across the faded Roman numerals. I thought nothing of it, thinking perhaps the vibrations of my footsteps had nudged it back to life. I went back to bed, but I couldn't sleep. The ticking grew louder, faster. It was in the walls, under the floor, inside my skull. I pressed my hands against my ears, but I could still hear it, each tick a nail into my mind. Then it stopped, and in that silence I heard something else, breathing that wasn't mine. I sat up, heart pounding. My door was open, and I swear I saw a shape standing there, tall and thin, its outline flickering like static. It moved, gliding across the floor, heading toward the clock. I couldn't move, couldn't scream as it raised its hand and touched the clock's glass. The chimes began to toll, each one vibrating through the floor, shaking the air, and with each strike I felt something inside me tear. 1, 2, 3, all the way to 12. Then there was a pause, a breath, before the final strike. 13. It was the sound of something breaking reality itself. The clock's face split, a crack snaking down the glass like a lightning bolt, and from that crack, blackness poured out, thick and oily, sliding across the floor toward me. I tried to run, but my legs were heavy, like the air itself had turned to syrup. The blackness touched my foot, and I felt it sear into me, burning and freezing at once, crawling under my skin. I fell, screaming as shadows spilled from the crack, shapes like spiders and hands, faces stretched into silent screams, their mouths open wide enough to swallow me whole. The clock kept ticking, 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 even though its hands spun wildly faster and faster. The shadows spoke in whispers, telling me secrets in a language I didn't understand, but somehow I knew they were the voices of everyone who had lived in this house, everyone who had died here. Their words were promises of pain, of eternity spent in darkness. I managed to crawl away, dragging myself into the kitchen, slamming the door shut, but I could still hear it, the ticking, the breathing, the scraping of hands against the other side of the door. I tried to call for help, but my phone was dead, the screen cracked, the battery drained even though I had charged it before bed. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. Time didn't feel right anymore. I finally fell asleep, curled up in a corner, clutching a kitchen knife. In the morning, I found the hallway empty, the clock standing there as if nothing had happened, its hands frozen at 12 again. I thought it was over until I saw the crack in the glass, dark liquid still glistening at the edges. I tried to leave the house, but the front door wouldn't open. The windows wouldn't budge. I was trapped. Every room I entered, the clock was there, standing in the corner, its face watching me. At night, it would tick, the hands moving closer to 12, and I knew that when it struck 13 again, it would take me, just like it took them. I can feel it now, ticking in my veins, counting down every breath I take. I see shadows moving at the edge of my vision, hands reaching for me, faces pressed against the dark corners of the room, waiting. I tried to smash the clock, lifting a hammer and swinging it down, but the moment it touched the glass, the clock chimed, and I saw my reflection twist into something else. Something wrong, something with empty eyes, and a mouth that stretched to my ears. I dropped the hammer, and the clock went silent, but the reflection remained, grinning at me from the glass, mouthing words I couldn't hear. Now, every night, I sit and watch the clock. As it ticks toward midnight, the shadows gather, whispering, waiting. I know I cannot stop it. I know it will strike 13 again. I can feel it coming, feel the darkness inside me growing, clawing at my insides, begging to be let out. When it happens, when the clock strikes 13, I know I will not be me anymore. I will become one of them, a shadow in the darkness, waiting for the next soul to enter the house, to touch the clock, to let it start again. Tick, tick, tick.
Like and subscribe to Scary Tales Story for more horror tales that will haunt your dreams and keep you checking the shadows.